Okay, hello everyone, and welcome back for day two of exam PL-300 Microsoft Power BI Data Analyst Associate Crash Course. I am Andrew Ehrig with O'Reilly Media, and I will be your facilitator for today's session. Our instructor, once again, is Daniil Masayoc. Quick reminder of a couple best practices before we begin. We do have the attendee chat and the widget tray towards the bottom of your screen. So if you have a question or comment at any time, you can submit it there. If you have a specific question relating to the topic, though, we do encourage everyone to submit those through the Q&A widget. But I would like to remind everyone to refrain from putting any personal information into the chat, anything like your email address or phone number, just because that chat window will be included in the recording of this webinar. And that recording should post and become available about 24 to 48 hours after the live session ends. And a reminder, for those of you who are subject to regulated status, the chat feature should not be used. The audience may include customers, vendors, or competitors of you or your employer. If you choose to take advantage of the interactive features available in this training, and we hope that you will, you are responsible for any information you choose to share. So without any further delay, I will turn things back over to Daniil, and we can begin.
Thanks very much, Andrew. Welcome back. Those of you who were here yesterday, this is day 2 of exam PL-300 Microsoft Power BI Data Analyst Associate Crash Course. Yesterday, we covered the full first segment, which was prepare the data. We covered approximately 2/3 of the second part, model the data. Today, we'll cover the rest of model the data part of the exam, as well as the other two parts. And we'll look at the final tips for the exam. Today, we'll have way more knowledge checks than yesterday, because yesterday we only had a knowledge check for one part. Today, we'll have for three parts. Yeah, let's get on to it. We'll cover the last part of the model the data segment, which is optimize model performance. Mostly, I have to say upfront, optimizing model performance is often related to reducing the amount of data you're working with, well, as well as other things. That we'll start with that. The first item here is improve performance by identifying and removing unnecessary rows and columns. Here, there isn't anything difficult. As you may know, Power BI uses the tabular engine, which is also known as Vertipack engine, and it's a column store database, meaning data is stored column by column instead of row by row, and the number of distinct values matters. What also matters is the number of columns, of course, because each column with more and more distinct values adds to the file size or the model size. And so if you get rid of especially those columns and rows that you're not using, then you may reduce the size of your model. I think I may have something in this model. Let me just have a look, some good example. Yes, I've got something. And by the way, here's a good tip for you to use. So we covered, I think we covered DAX Studio at some point, or was it? Oh no, and DAX Studio is covered in a different course, but okay, it's just a helper for you, okay? Um, DAX Studio is covered in another exam, which is DP 600. But just so you know, for real life, I mean, how to identify those columns that are especially good candidates for removal. See, in DAX Studio, you go to Advanced, and then here you've got the View Metrics function. By the way, it's not tested in the exam. It's just a tip for real life. Okay. And here you will see tables by default, and then you can navigate to columns. And this will tell you the largest columns in the database. So you may want to look at this column, %db, meaning the percentage of the database size that this column is. So we've got sale key in the sale table. It's 16.45% of the whole database. And if we look at it in the model, in table view, in sale, here it is, we can see that at the bottom, it says that the number of rows and distinct values matches. We've got, well, actually we saw that in DAX Studio as well. Just want to show you how to check it in Power BI Desktop as well. It means values are unique in this column, and the question you may want to ask is whether you actually need this column. What value does it bring? So this is an artificial key, sale key. Is it useful for analysis? Well, probably not, because if you want to count number of sales, then you might as well count the rows, and actually this is going to be more performant than doing a distinct count over the sale key column. So yeah, you may want to get rid of that column and save some space. So let's just have a look. How much would we save if we removed this column? Let me call this file day2 a, and I'll remove this column now. Delete, yes. File, save as, and I'll save it as day2b. All right, now let's see. Day2a is 5.2 megabytes, and day2b is less than 3 megabytes. This is what, like 40% decrease, isn't it? Let me check. Yeah, 43%, almost, yeah. Pretty good for one column, I think. And this isn't limited to this artificial data. This can happen in real life as well. Actually, it did happen to me. Something with very similar savings. I was working on a model that was maybe 3.5 gigs. And yeah, around that. And there was a fact table with a column that was a concatenation of all other keys in the column, and it was text, and it wasn't used anywhere. So when we removed it, the model size went down to like 2 gigs or something like that. So very similar. Of course, it's not guaranteed to happen in every case. I'm just saying it can. So anyway, that's columns removal. And of course, if you remove unnecessary rows, then you have less data. So a good chance that your model will be smaller and therefore easier to work with from the performance point of view. Second item in this section, identify poorly performing measures, relationships, and variables by using Performance Analyzer and DAX Query View. I think mostly in the past it was Performance Analyzer that was used. Now it's also DAX Query View. And here what the exam means is you're supposed to use performance analyzer, um, which you can open from the View tab here, or also on the Optimize tab here, same thing, just two different entry points. And you need to start recording, and then you can either refresh the whole page. For that, you can refresh visuals, or you refresh visuals individually by selecting this button. Let's refresh the whole page, because the item says and visuals. And so what you can do in general, if somebody says that your report is slow, is well, you can ask them which page is slow as a starting point, go to that page, open Performance Analyzer, and start recording. It's a bit more nuanced than that. It's best if you, and I don't think this is tested in exam, I'm just saying, it's best if you, when measuring performance, have some blank page like this, and you save your report first. So let's do it. Save the report. Then, save the report on that page. Then, when you open your file or model on that page, nothing is loaded, so nothing is cached. Then you open Performance Analyzer and start recording. And then you go to that page with visuals. I think it was page 3, I think. Let's see. Yeah, see, now we've got some better recordings, I reckon. See, now it's taken over a second. Previously, it was like less than 200 milliseconds each. And I think that's because it was cached. Let's see, which matrix was it? So this one took longer. Isn't it interesting? We've got a calculation group here, I think, right? Date type, yes. And here we've got two separate measures. Yeah, maybe let's clear the visuals and go back here. Yeah, see, now it's cached. Okay, I'll just clear the cache in DAX Studio. Again, I don't think clearing the cache is tested. I'm just curious myself. Oh, I need to reconnect. Okay, connect and clear cache. Okay, now let's go to page 3. Still cached. Oh, that's right. Well, anyway, you can actually see that even cached, it is taking longer for the matrix on the right to load. Yeah, I find it interesting that using a calculation group is slower compared to the old way, meaning without a calculation group, even though the logic is the very same. Yeah. Okay, now what about using DAX query view? Well, and there's no query. I'm pretty sure that's because of caching. Okay, let me do it again. So I'll open this report. Yeah, I think when you don't see the query, it's because it's using the visual cache. And yeah, I should have actually remembered it. There is a visual cache that you cannot really clear unless you just close and open. Okay, let's open Performance Analyzer, start recording, and go to page 3. No, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. It's not taking longer. It was probably a coincidence. This time, this visual is taking longer. Okay, so what about DAX query view? Well, the thing is, you can copy this query and use it somewhere else, like here in DAX Studio, or you can go to DAX query view, or rather select Run in DAX query view, and run it here. So that's taken 75% 0.4 milliseconds. Actually, we can get the queries for both and run in DAX query view and see which one is faster. Let me call this left, and here this will be right. So I'll go here, take this visual. Which one is it? I think it's this one, isn't it? Copy query, and in here, paste it, select run. See, if I run again and again, I think it's just, it's actually 2 results, right? Yes, okay. And here, I think it's going to be the same. Yeah, see, it's just cached. I can clear the cache if I reconnect, clear the cache. Now it's still, pretty sure it's still using cache. But okay. Anyway, that's the thing. You can use Performance Analyzer to identify which visual is the worst, and then you can work with the queries that you get from Performance Analyzer and run them in DAX query view, and you can tweak them to pinpoint the slowly performing things. Because yeah, we've got just one measure here plus this special format thing, which is used because we've got a format string in the calculation group, if you remember from the previous day. Yeah, for the purposes of the exam, you're supposed to know that there is Performance Analyzer, and it can help you with identifying slow things. That's all. Okay, and the third and last item in the second part of the exam is improve performance by reducing granularity. It's kind of related to the first item, which is improving performance by reducing the number of rows and columns, kind of related. So what this means is, if you have some detailed fact and there is some dimension you're not using, however, you still retain, say, the keys from that dimension or even granularity from that dimension, then what you can do is you can group that fact table and not use the unused dimension in groupings, and therefore you will have both fewer rows and columns in this case, and likely fewer distinct values after grouping, because you will also aggregate your facts in some way. It's probable. And that was part 1. And part 2 of the same thing is data types matter. Like I was saying yesterday, the difference between decimal number and fixed decimal number is that fixed decimal number keeps up to 4 decimal places. Sometimes some models, especially those with financial data, when currencies were converted, they keep columns with more than 4 decimal numbers. Although if you think about it, do you ever need more than even 2 decimal numbers? Like maybe I'm not knowledgeable about all the currencies in the world. However, with dollars and many other currencies, you cannot go lower than, say, 2 decimal places physically, as in there isn't anything less than a cent. So even 2 decimal places would be sufficient. But then, yeah, who knows? Maybe for some things you would want 4 or something. If you can get away with 4, then use fixed decimal number rather than keeping more than that, because fewer decimal numbers simply means fewer distinct values, and fewer distinct values means smaller models. That's all. And a tip from a real world, if you want, you can actually split columns into 2. Like if you've got a numeric column and you would like to make your file size smaller, you can split a column into integers and decimals. Let me try to get an example from the sale table. Oh, actually, let's go to DAX Studio again, and let's do advanced, view metrics, okay. Let me check. Yeah, the largest columns actually are not numeric, although here profit is a good candidate because we've got how many? Oh, only 570 cardinality. No, that's not gonna be very helpful. Yeah, that's not very real world like. Yeah, if we had more distinct values, then maybe we would notice something. Let me check. Profit. Is it decimal number? It's not fixed decimal number, but that's because we already have up to 2 decimal numbers. Actually, it's probably even rounded to the nearest 5 cents. So yeah, splitting it into 2 is probably not gonna achieve that much. But I did that in other models. Yes, sometimes it can be quite profitable. I mean, splitting columns into integers and decimals. And then all you need to do is just combine the 2 values in a measure, and it's going to be performant enough that you will not even notice any difference from from the speed point of view, aggregation, you will not see any differences. However, you may see a difference in the model size. All right, I think that's all for this part. Let's do the knowledge check. Let's see, I'm gonna give a minute for someone to answer. Here's the question. You need to create a relationship between product and product category in your data model. For every row in the product category table, there's 1 or more rows in the product table. How should you configure the relationship? Yeah, this is kind of similar to one of the questions from yesterday. However, yesterday it was about merging. This is about creating a relationship. Okay, I can see that someone's answered. Maybe I'll give it a few more seconds in case somebody else wants to answer. And then, yeah, I'll just reveal the poll results. All right, I'll just reveal it. And yeah, the answer is correct. It's yeah, 1 too many because product category is on the one side, product is on the many side. Okay, let's go next. You need to create a measure that returns the sales amount for the previous month. Which 2 DAX functions should you use? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. By the way, yes, like I mentioned yesterday, it is possible to get question types like this in the exam, and this is very similar, very similar to what you would get in the exam. This is a multi-choice, so you need to select 2 items from the 4 available options. Okay, for some reason I don't see how many people have answered this time. Not sure what happened here. The first option is confirm. But okay, it doesn't matter. All right, maybe I'll try it myself. Let's see. Okay, the two correct options are date add and calculate. Yes. So calculate is the most important function in DAX, and to get the previous month, you use date add indeed with the date column and then -1 and month. This will give you the right filter. Okay, next, you need to create a role-playing dimension to filter the sales table by invoice date and deliver date separately. Which object should you use? Measure, calculated column, calculated table, or calculation group. So what the question means, date and deliver date, sorry, invoice date and deliver date separately means two separate tables. And yes, it is possible to do something not in DAX, but before that, yes, the question is about DAX, because you might as well get something like this in the exam, really. Okay. And the correct answer is calculated table, indeed, because by using a calculated table, you can create a copy of another table. So, yeah, that's right. All right. Next, I think that's knowledge check done. Now we can go to the third part of the exam. It says segment 4, actually it's part 3 of the exam. Before we do though, let's, it actually hasn't even been 30 minutes. Okay, that's fine. Let's continue then. We'll do a small break a bit later. So visualize and analyze the data has 3 sections in it. Create reports, enhance reports for usability and storytelling, and identify patterns and trends. The first section, create reports, was updated in January, so last month, and now it includes a few items that ask about Copilot. Not sure how many people actually use Copilot, and yet here we are in the exam that includes Copilot. Okay, let's dive in. Create reports. The three new items are all to do with Copilot. They're create a narrative visual with Copilot and use Copilot to create a new report page and suggest content for a new page. Anyway, we'll start with the first item. Select an appropriate visual. Well, here it's not really a technical question. It's more like for trends, you use a line chart or maybe a combo chart in case you need to show something categorical together with time series. For parts to whole, you could use a pie chart or a donut chart for a single item, a card, and stuff like that. It's not difficult, and in the exam, if you get a question like this, then it's going to be fairly easy to select the right answer based on the provided context. So nothing tricky here. All right. The next item, which is format and configure visuals, is about this part of the user interface. When you select a visual, you can format it, and depending on which formatting pane, the old or new one you use, you get this visual and general, and general just contains things like yeah, the position and the size and all that. So something that applies to pretty much every visual, whereas the visual part contains things unique to this visualization type, such as metrics in this case, I think. Here again, nothing tricky, just so you know that it's possible to configure and format many parts of visuals. So it's not a tricky item. Oh, and in case you're looking for something you're not really supposed to remember where everything is, you can just search for it, such as font, and then you see wherever it's possible to configure it. Sometimes it's grayed out because this is not enabled, such as, say, title. If you enable title, though, you will be able to select font here. Still, you get a hint that, yes, there is configurable font, and so on. All right, next, the new item, create a narrative visual with Copilot. I think this came after the Q&A visual was retired. Let me check. Do I still have it? I actually don't think I'm running the January version of Power BI Desktop. Q&A. Let's see if it's going to work. Prepare on Q&A. Although, yeah, that's not what they meant. The narrative visual is the separate one. Yeah, okay. Here it's still working. Okay, let's try the Q&A visual. No summaries found. We don't yet support summarization for any selected. All right, because you're supposed to select some data, I guess. Okay, let's just create a copy of this, or maybe this. I'll just get rid of Q&A. And don't yet support summarization for any of the selected visuals. It's a bit odd. No, actually, I think I'm doing it wrong. I'm sure I've used it before, and now somehow I cannot. Summarize. Okay, so summarize is here. Indeed, it's just grayed out. Okay, maybe I'll do this. And okay, let me try to turn this into something easier to read. I need, yes, x-axis with date. Why is it? Ah, because it's been expanded. Okay. Okay, this will do, I think. Okay, now I can summarize. Okay, good. And now, yeah. So you're supposed to have some kind of summarizable, if that's the right word, visual, such as line chart in my example. Then you right click and select summarize. The thing is, if you try to do this yourself and it requires a copilot, then you will be prompted to select a workspace that is tied to a paid fabric capacity. A trial one will not work. I mean, the trial fabric capacity. Then, yeah, you can use that. Okay, next, apply and customize a theme. So a starting point for applying a theme is in the View tab. You just expand this, themes, and here there are many built-in themes to choose from. I even have an organizational theme that you can configure an organizational theme in the Power BI service. I mean, your admin scan, which is handy in case you work in some organization with corporate colors and all that, because then people will be able to select a theme right in Power BI desktop without downloading anything. I think that's quite nice. Let's select that maybe. Yeah, okay. And then what you can do is you can further customize it. How? Here in the dropdown, you select customize current theme. And yeah, that's from my other course, Advanced Microsoft Power BI. Here, let's set font size to 20. Okay, apply. And you can do way more, of course. If you want to customize some items that are not here, then what you can do is you can export this theme, save current theme, and yeah, let's just call it theme.json, okay? And then you can, okay, I don't have Visual Studio Code. It would be nice. You don't have to use Visual Studio Code. I'll just use Notepad. Yeah, this will be okay. See, it's just not formatted, and Visual Studio Code would format it for me. Why you see this stuff? It's because I've got a background image embedded in my theme, and it's base64 encoded. See, you can see it here. Yeah, otherwise, without any images, theme files look way cleaner. Let's just scroll down, and you can see here a few other things like text classes, font size 20. This is something I've just done. I've customized my font size or text size, and it added this property. So if you want to customize things not available in the user interface, you've got to edit the theme.json file by yourself, or you could use a third-party tool such as powerbi.tips, offer this service to create themes, which is highly customizable. Okay, next, apply conditional formatting. Okay, this is another thing that's not really special. So there are several places where you can apply conditional formatting. Let me just get rid of this. Conditional formatting, when you just use the user interface, can be applied for, say, table and matrix visuals. I'll show you one way. So it's here. I've got two measures. Okay, you can right click and then conditional formatting, and then you've got a few options. Like background and font color and data bars and icons are all related to the values, let's say icons. And there are, actually, this is not fully representative. Maybe let me do a font color. Yeah, good. Because you have gradient, rules, and field value. So yeah, gradient is using some field, and then you specify lowest, highest, and you can also add a middle color. You can either hard code values or just use lowest, highest, and middle. Same for here and here. So fairly flexible. Or you could use rules, or you could use a field value. And the field value should return a color. It supports multiple formats. It supports hex as well as the other, I just forgot what it's called, RGB, I think it is. Anyway, it will work. It works just like in HTML. So HTML also supports various formats, and yeah, that's one way. The other way that you can configure conditional formatting is just that it's the same term used for different things. Let's say I've got, I don't know, a visual title, okay? And here, you can also configure conditional formatting for the title itself. So whenever you see this FX button, you can use a DAX measure or something for conditional formatting. It's not only just the color can be conditionally formatted, you can also use conditional formatting for text. Let me maybe do a slicer on year as a drop down maybe, or a list. Yeah, this will do. Just to show you how you can do a dynamic title, year title equals if has one value, year, then year and values here. Otherwise, it's shown and concatenate X. I'll just paste this. And delimiter. All right, let's test this. Title was just something basic. Year title. Okay, good. I'll just make it a bit bigger. Yep. Okay, so it concatenates. Will it work for just 1 year? Yep, year 2017, year 2019. See, that's another part of conditional formatting. And also, it can work for some visual items. Formatting items as well. Let me do another visual, say sale count by year, like this. Yeah, you can configure a visual, conditional formatting for, say, column color here. Again, whenever you see FX, it means conditional formatting. And it doesn't have to be based on that same field that you're showing. It could be, say, another field. And yeah, gradient is okay. Okay. Kind of nice. Sometimes it gives you this legend. Yeah, in this case, there is direct correlation between quantity and number of sales. However, in other cases, maybe slightly different. Yeah, anyway, that's conditional formatting. Okay. Next, apply slicing and filtering. Okay, another thing that's not really difficult. Slicing is just using the slicer. There are different types of slicers, so slicer settings. I mean, even with the built-in visuals, vertical list, tile, and so on. It also depends on the column type, because with text, you will not get less than or equal to, of course. And filtering can be configured at 3 levels. So visual level here, or page level, or report level. Visual level filtering can also use measures, something that page level and report level filters cannot have. So yesterday I mentioned that it's possible to filter out blanks. So what I meant was you can add a measure filter. Let me show you how. So for example, we've got sale count. While this is not the best way to do it, I'll just show you that it's possible to do it. You drag a measure here, and for example, is no blank, like this, and apply filter. Now, you see, we only have those years for which we have sales. So before that, if I clear this filter, we had blank 2016 and 2021. Now only 4 years. And just in case you're wondering what would be a better way, I would use something different, like I'll just comment it out for comparison. Oh, not int, so it's either 0 or 1. Not is empty, sale, this, and I will make it is 1. Apply filter. Yes, this, I think, from the performance point of view, is a bit better. I'll get rid of this. Yeah. All right. Next, use Copilot to create a new report page. All right, let's try that. Okay, home, Copilot. Why is it not opening? Okay, here it is. Okay, I need to select a workspace. I've got day 2A, for example. Let's select this workspace. Because again, Copilot requires you to have a paid fabric capacity. Some workspace is supposed to have that. That's how you select it. Okay, it says I can simplify my work by using Copilot and mistakes are possible. All right, let's keep that in mind. Let's get started. And yeah, let's create a new report page. Let's see. This is like the simplest context-free prompt ever. Create a new report page. Like, what is it gonna create with no context? Let's see. I'll just maybe collapse this and this and this and see, working on it. Okay. I wonder how much this would cost me. I have a fabric capacity on Azure that I pause most of the time. And I know that using Copilot can get really expensive. Even if you ask it something, it's going to cost you like $1 already. And so this is probably going to cost me a few dollars. But okay. All right, so what do we have? Here's the outline, sales overview, and we've got 2 cards created by Copilot. Okay. All right, maybe let me ask it to do something else. Create a line chart of quantity by year. Let's see if we can do that. Working on it. Seems like a non-trivial task. And I wonder how much it would take me to do that. Okay, here's the visual. Okay. All right, fine. Let's do another one. Create a column chart of quantity sold by product color. Let's see what it does. Okay, nice. Let's do a small test. Can it sort? Order the column chart by color in alphabetic order sending. Because right now it's ordered by quantity itself. What if I want this to be by color? Is now ordered in ascending alphabetic order by color. Really? Is it? No, I mean by color name. Will this do anything? Is already sorted by the color name in ascending alphabetic order. I don't know. Maybe it's me. I just don't see it, but okay. All right. Next, use Copilot to suggest content for a new report page. All right. I think there is something. Yeah, suggest content for a new report page. That's exactly it. Here's a suggested outline for your report. Select any page topic, to details, and start creating pages. Actually, maybe I'm interested in product analysis. Okay, let's create that. Okay, here's the new page. Interesting already. Maybe there's going to be more than 2 cards. Okay, there's a column chart and another column chart. All right, that's okay. Anyway, that's what you're supposed to know, that you can use Copilot to create new report pages and suggest content for new report pages. Yeah. Next item, configure the report page. This is very similar to visual formatting, except, I mean, it's the same button format here, except you're doing it for the report page, and you can configure things like background, size, whether it can be used as a tooltip, and yeah, Q&A I think is going to be retired at some point. Yeah, the vertical alignment, things like that. Something else that's also here, just not shown at the moment, is the perspective used. That is used for visual personalization. I think we're covering that a bit later. I mean, visual personalization. Or maybe, no, actually, yes. Yes, just in a different section. Okay. Let's see. Choose when to use a paginated report. Yep, that's the next item. So paginated report, in case you don't know what it is a different kind of report. So these reports are, I mean, Power BI desktop reports are just called reports. They're like interactive reports where you can create visuals. They interact with each other if you create multiple visuals and so on. Paginated reports are best for printing out when you don't know in advance how many pages you have, so they can maintain a specific layout, like a table, and they can be also used for, say, presentations. So kind of not really a limitation, but the Power BI reports, by default, they have pages of set size, and you may need to scroll. This naturally doesn't work well for paper or static PowerPoint. Yes, it is possible to embed Power BI reports in PowerPoint. That's not what this is about. You still need some way to navigate sometimes. I mean, if you have, say, a long list of products and you want to show data on all of them, then a paginated report works well. So in other words, when you're dealing with static presentations and printing, then a paginated report is a good one. I mean, for those cases, when you've got some unknown number of items that you need to fit in the whole report, then yes, a paginated report is good. Okay, and next, create visual calculations by using DAX. All right, what is a visual calculation? That's another kind of calculation that's not a model calculation. It's unique to a visual. Let me find some example that I can use. Actually, yeah, even here, it's okay. I'll just copy this table. Okay, what I want to do is to show the value for the previous day, for example. I could do it by using a model measure, or I can do it by using a visual calculation. So for that, just select the visual and then select new visual calculation. Then let's say okay, there isn't a previous one, but let's use versus previous as a template. Here, let's just select cell count, and I'll get rid of this. Let's just call it previous sale count. All right. And here it is. See, it's formatted differently. See, this is this, right? It's formatted differently. If I want it to be formatted in the same way as my measure, I just do it at the visual level again, so general, and then data format, apply settings to previous sale count, and let's do, where is it, whole number, 1000 separator. Yep, now it's formatted in the same way. Again, visual calculations are tied to a specific visual. If you need to redo this in another visual, you'll have to copy and paste. Okay, that's create reports done. Maybe at this point, let's take a 7-minute break, because it's been an hour already, and we'll continue after the break. I'll just start the timer. Okay, welcome back. I'm gonna restart my screen share here and restart the slide. I think, yeah, we've just covered visual calculations by using DAX. This concluded this segment of this section of this part of segment 4. Next, enhance report for usability and storytelling. There are so many items that I split it into two. The first one is to configure bookmarks. Right, let's do that. Okay, first, how do you create a bookmark? You select view and then bookmarks. Let me just collapse this. Yep. And yeah, you add a bookmark. And here it is. Now, of course, it's not very useful as it is. How can you make useful bookmarks? So you can use some options. And the main things that you can configure is whether your bookmark saves states such as filters applied or drill down or sorting, or whether it saves the visibility of visuals, like whether a visual is hidden, and also whether your bookmark takes you to the page where it was created. I'll explain each. Oh, and also whether your bookmark is applied to all visuals or just those that you selected when creating the bookmark. So let me explain when you would use each item. So the data check mark, this option, you can, like by default it's enabled. You can deselect it if you don't want your bookmark to affect filters. It's most useful when you're using a bookmark to say change one visual to another, and at the same time you also have some slicers or filters or whatever. Let's say this, let's turn this into a slicer. No, let's do a drop down. Okay. And let me select 1 year, just 2017. Okay. All right. Now, let's say I'm interested in showing either a table or a matrix. Therefore, I will create, actually, let me get rid of that, delete. Let me create another visual based on this, just for year, sale count, that's it. Oh, actually, that's not very useful, is it? Huh. Let's do it by month. Oh, and I need to sort month by month number for it to look more or less good. Oh, actually, start of month would be better. For a line chart, I mean. Yep, start of month. Okay, this is good. Now, because I want to only show one visual at a time, let's hide this visual. And that is done on the selection pane. So I'll hide this. Yep. Now let's add the bookmark. And let's call this bookmark table shown. Now let's hide the, actually that's a matrix, isn't it? Yeah, that's okay. Let's hide the matrix and unhide the line chart. And let's add a bookmark. And let's call this line chart shown. Right, now if I switch between these bookmarks, I see different visuals. That's good, except if I also change the filter, say 2019, and I switch to another bookmark, see, it's now 2017 again. That is because both of my bookmarks have the data option selected. So let me get rid of that. Okay, here and here as well. Now, if I select 2019 or 18, doesn't matter, and switch to a different bookmark, now my slicer stays the same. See, this is probably the way it should be in case you're switching visuals and at the same time you have filters, so that your users don't have to reapply the filters. Okay, when would you use the display option? Well, if let's say you have another bookmark to change the filters, such as from 2018 to 2019, maybe that's a toy example. Maybe another one would be better. Actually, let's do color. So I'll create another slicer for colors. So it's just tiny bit more meaningful. Yep. All right. If I want to show it for black, let's say, and then I switch to line chart, no, table chart. Yep, this is good. Now, if I actually want to have some changes to my color slicer based on the bookmark, I'm going to add a bookmark. Let's say blue. Now I want to select black, and let's select black. All right. Now, if I switch to line chart, and then I want to show blue, then it takes me to the matrix. That's because this has this display option. Now let's undo it for both. And let's switch to line chart. And let's go to the black bookmark. You see now it changes just the filter. So yes, it saves the data, but it doesn't change the visual, it doesn't change the visibility. Now, what if I also want to switch the year, let's say 2017, and if I go to the black bookmark, will it change the year? Yes. Why? That's because I'm not using the other option. So at the moment, it says all visuals. Now, if I select this option, select visuals, then it will only affect those visuals that I select. In this case, let's select the slicer. And let me see, can I do this? Update, select the visuals and update. Yep, and same for blue. Let me check 2017, and let's go to black. Okay, and blue. Oh, I forgot to update, I guess. Oh, no, I forgot to set the blue. Okay, let's do update. Okay, now if I switch to, say, 2019 and switch between black and blue, yep, see the year slicer stays the same, the visual stays the same. I can even switch to matrix, I can switch to the year, and again, switch between two color filters based on the bookmark. So yeah, the last thing I haven't explained is current page. When would that be useful? This would be useful if you're trying to change a, say, report level filter. So if I've got a report level filter, I don't know, say brand. I can set it to, say, north wind. And let's add a bookmark like this. Let's deselect display. We'll keep data, and we'll also set selected visuals when we don't select any visuals, and let's select update. Now let's change to NA and add another bookmark. Again, we'll undo display, and actually it doesn't matter if we selected just only some visual, it wouldn't matter. And as a test, let's do this, update, okay. Now, let's test this. Will this work the way I want it to work? If I select north wind, oh, it doesn't actually change. See why? North wind, update. Oh no, I do need to select all visuals. That's right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I thought I would be able to change. Oh, okay. I think I need to save it on a different page, I think. Okay, let's do that. So I will select north wind, yes, and update, okay, and same with NA. Update. Okay, now if I switch between these two, wait, why is it not working? All visuals and, oh, that's select the visuals. Okay, fine. Change brand to NA and update. Okay, so this works, good. Now, if I'm on a different page and go to, say, NA, it also takes me to that page. If I undo current page for both and go to page 8, let's see what happens. If I select north wind, then yeah, here's north wind and NA. So this is how you can change the page level filter. Let's just test what's going to happen with the year slicer in north wind. Yep, good. See, the year slicer doesn't change. Can I still change black? Yep. And if I switch to north wind and go to blue, yep. So see, it stays the same. So yeah, pretty good. Okay. I think I've shown everything related to bookmarks. Well, of course, you can group them if you want. But I don't think you're being tested on that. All right, next, create custom tooltips. All right, what this is about is not just, okay, let me collapse this. Actually, I'll get rid of both. What this is about is not just adding things to the tooltips field well, like, I don't know, color, sale count, let's say, and whatnot. It's not just about that. It's about the report page tooltips. So let's create one. Let's say I want to show sales by month. For that, you need to create a new page. Let's just call it tooltip so we don't get confused. Remember, when you configure a report page in page information, you can allow use as tooltip. Doing that also immediately changes the canvas settings to type tooltip. So it changes the size of the page. Because yeah, tooltips are meant to be small. Now here you can select some kind of chart to be created. Yeah, let's do sale count by month, as I was saying. Yeah, let's make it slightly nicer. We don't need any y-axis. And here, title. And actually, we don't need the actual title either. All right, this will do. A good practice is to hide the page, because users are not meant to navigate to that page. And here, yeah, let's use this visual. So at the moment, the tooltip we're using is just a standard one. Let's make it use a custom tooltip. So go to format your visual. And I think general, yep, in the tooltips section, report page is already selected. However, instead of auto, you need to select the actual page tooltip. And here it is. Let's hover over. Here's the tooltip. See, it changes depending on the color. Yep, that's pretty much it. That's how you configure a custom tooltip. Next, edit and configure interactions between visuals. All right. Let me see. I've got brand selected. Okay, that's why it's like this. Okay, I'll just get rid of maybe, no, that's okay. I'll keep it and I'll make this bit bigger and this bit bigger as well. And just so it's a bit easier to read, I'll add data labels and get rid of the y-axis. Yeah, I think this is almost okay. Yeah, so what I want to show is the interaction between visuals. If I select the color, say black, then you can see that the visual on the right, this one, is cross-highlighted. It's hard to see here, but this part is also cross-highlighted. So that's the default interaction between two visuals, when possible, because that's not always possible. Say for a line chart, it's not possible to cross-highlight a part of the line chart. It will be cross-filtered. Can you configure that? Yes. So you select a visual, and then you select Format and Edit Interactions. This brings up extra icons. See, this, just hard to work with because they're so close together, and this. Anyway, this is the default, cross-highlighted. You can select cross-filtering. Let's select cross-filtering. Then once we select a color, see this chart is filtered. Interesting to note that, yeah, some colors only have one brand, but okay. And the other thing you can select is none. So whenever you select a color, this chart doesn't change. So yeah, that's almost it, except you can change the default interaction, and that is done in report settings, file options and settings here. And you go to current file, report settings, and you use this. Change default visual interaction from cross-highlighting to cross-filtering. Enable this, okay. Now, still at the moment, it's cross-highlighting, but that's because we have changed these options, so we've played with them. Let's choose filter. However, now, when we select some brand, such as NA, see this chart is filtered. So it's not cross-highlighted anymore. That's because we have changed the default visual interaction. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's all there is to know about interactions between visuals. Okay, next, configure navigation for a report. So what this tests is just your knowledge that there's a thing that exists. In the insert buttons, there is navigator. So you have page navigator and bookmark navigator. So page navigator simply gives you a list of all pages, and you can change which pages appear. So you can deselect some specific pages. Also, you can show tooltip pages if you want, even if they are hidden. Yeah. And I think this show all by default means that if you add a new page, then it's going to be there. If you deselect that option, where is it? Oh, pages. If you deselect that option and create a new page, well, first of all, you'll need to select everything. But then if you select, if you create a new page, then it will not appear there by default. That's all. And the other part here is the bookmark navigator. Works in a very similar way. Why I cannot bookmark all? I thought I was supposed to be able to hide some bookmarks. Let me check. Why is this happening? Bit odd. Yeah, I thought you could hide some bookmarks. No. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not sure that's the way it's supposed to be, but maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, that's all you need to know for this particular item, that there is two kinds of navigation buttons. One is page, the other is bookmark navigation. Okay, next, apply sorting to visuals. That's kind of what I was trying to do with Copilot a bit earlier today. You can sort visuals in different ways. Let me try, okay, this. You see, you can sort, actually, if you had a legend, let me add that, stock item. Let's use brand on legend. Yeah, if you had a legend here, you could even sort a legend. Sort legend, say descending, yep. Sort axis by color. Yeah, you can even sort by something that's not in the visual. So we've got total quantity, sorry, sale count. We've got sale count in the tooltip and quantity visible. We can sort by sale count. See, now the order is not obvious. It's neither by the visible value nor by the color name. And of course, it can be ascending or descending. I think also you can sort tables by more than one field at a time. So for example, not just by delivered sale count, but then if there are ties, you can sort by sale count in, oh, I was supposed to hold the shift key. Wait, was it shift or control? Actually, maybe it's the matrix that I cannot sort. Let me do it as a table. Okay, I think now I can hold the shift key and sort cell count. Yeah, that's right. So notice these two rows. Now it's 26, 28. Now if I hold the shift key, see it's 28, 26. So it is possible to sort by more than one column for tables. You just need to hold the shift key while doing so. Okay, next, configure sync slicers. All right, that's slightly more interesting. So if you've got a slicer and you have this slicer on a different page, let's find some. Okay, this page will do actually, because it does have the years. When copying, you will be asked whether you want to sync. Yep, let's sync. And when you already have slicers on different pages, you can choose to sync them. For that, you go to View and Sync Slicers. And here you can see where you have these slicers. So that's this column and where you're syncing them. So that's this column. So you can choose to sync slicers. Now, the cool thing is that you've got this advanced options tab. And here you can give slicers some group name. This will allow you to sync slicers that are even based on different fields. So this can be handy when, let's say, you've got some page filtered by invoice date and another page filtered by, let's say, delivery date by using a different table. The values in slicers are the same, however, they're based on different columns. You could use this group name to still synchronize the slicers. That's yeah, all there is about this. Okay, and next item, group and layer visuals by using the selection pane. So in the selection pane, let me just close this. In the selection pane, by default, you just see all the visuals created in whichever, listed in whichever order they were created, pretty much. You can group them. Say, you can group these two and select group. And when you move visuals, they of course overlap. Now you can change the layer order by dragging visuals here. And sometimes that's what you want, sometimes not. Now, one important thing is that occasionally you want to maintain the layer order. What this means is when I select, let's say, this column chart, let's say accidentally or because I want to filter the other, see, I've got these two charts grouped, and because of this, I select the visual, and because of this, even when I filter, actually that's not why. I think that's because I'm just filtering. Let me ungroup this. I'll explain what I mean in a bit. Where's this and this? Okay, I'll move them. Yeah, so at the moment I'm just filtering, so it doesn't matter. However, if I select this chart, then it goes in front of this visual. Occasionally, you may want to maintain the layer order even when charts are selected. You can do so by using this option. I think it's in general properties and advanced options. Yes, maintain layer order. So maintain layer order in reading view even when selected. So let's do it for this. I don't think actually we can see it in Power BI Desktop. This needs to be tested in the Power BI service, pretty sure. But that's okay. Let me do this. I'll do it like this, and we can test it in the Power BI service. So this visual has this option enabled, which is maintain layer order, and this one doesn't. Let's publish this. Success. Okay, let's go here. All right. So remember this chart on the right, it has maintain layer order enabled. Now, if I select this chart, See, you cannot see it, but I'm clicking, okay? So this card is not disappearing, okay? Now let's click this chart. See, this card disappeared. That's because I selected this visual. So if I select this visual on the right, the card stays the same, whereas here it disappears. So this can be, a handy option sometimes. All right, going back to our items. So we've covered this part. Let's cover the next part. Configure drill through navigation. Drill through. So that's slightly different. Let's create a new page. Let's say I want to see some details that make up this 1.48 million or this 0.95 million or whatever. There are a couple of ways in which you can configure drill through. One is you can drill through by using specific fields such as color, or you can do it for measures. So that's actually a good example because both of these visuals, they use quantity. However, they use different fields to slice quantity by. Let's create a new page. Let's call it details. And let's just build something like, I don't know, sales by month. So we'll do quantity here. No, total quantity and sale count. And that's going to be by month. Yeah, this will do. All right, now for drill through, let me just get rid of selection. For drill through, you configure this part. Let's add color here. By the way, hiding drill through pages is not a bad idea. Oh, and one other thing, when you add something to the drill through field well, this button gets created automatically. It was difficult to notice just because I have a logo here, but otherwise this button allows you to go back. I think I was using this page, wasn't I? Yeah, that's right. I'll just move it. Yeah, okay, here, now, if I right click, I can drill through to details. So this is 0.95 million, right? 0.95 million, drill through details. And here it is, 0.95 million. Now I can go back in Power BI Desktop. I just need to hold the Control key. Here, can I drill through? Let's right click. No. Why not? Because there is no color in this visual. Still, what I can do is let's just get rid of all this. I can add quantity here. So let's add the measure, total quantity, to drill through. Now this will allow me to drill through from whichever visual has total quantity as the measure. So can I drill through from this chart? Yes. Can I do it from here now? Yes. Now what does keep all filters do? Well, for measures, it's kind of mandatory. However, when we use just the color, let's try it again, stock item color, we could either keep all filters or not select that. So what this means is that if there is a filter, say 2017, then this will be carried over by default. So let's drill through. Details. See, it's in italics. There's brand NA, year 2017. We can, however, get rid of that and get rid of keep all filters. And let's try now, 0.95. Now only color is carried over. So the fact that we have year filtered and actually brand was here as well, it doesn't matter. Only color is filtered. Okay, next, configure export settings. Okay, this is what users get to export. File options and settings options. I think it's per report. Yep, report settings. And yep, these are the options that we are looking for. So we can, by default, it allows users to export with current layout and summarize data. You can also let them export current layout, summarize data, and underline data, which is like row level data in case you're using implicit measures, I think. Or you can disallow exporting any data whatsoever. That's it. Okay, next, design reports for mobile devices. All right, this is this option here, mobile layout view. You can try to auto-create a mobile layout. Because my report is not very informative, this auto layout isn't either. However, you could do something nicer looking. For example, here I expect, yep, that's a bit better, I guess. You don't have to use all the visuals. Like you can hide something in case you don't want it. Let's say this color, it then becomes available. Yeah, there is not that much special here. The thing is, for mobile layout, you've got to create separate reports, I would say. And now they're way more flexible than in the past. In the past, you could only make visuals of certain size and so on. Now it's way more forgiving, I should say. Okay, next, enable personalized visuals in a report. Okay, this is a bit more complex. If discussed in full, let's go back to the desktop view. So what this is about is, let's say this is a column chart. What if I want to let my users make this another type of chart, or even configure which fields are used in this visual? So for this, you can enable visual personalization. This is the report level setting, file options and settings options. And in options, this is what you use. Let's select allow report readers to personalize visuals to suit their needs. Let's select that and OK. Now we've got this new option here. Unfortunately, in Power BI Desktop, it doesn't do anything. Even if we hold the Control key, you select it, nothing happens. Let's try that in Power BI Service. I'll just need to, I think I've got to go back to the workspace. Yeah, for day 2B, let's change settings. And we need, yes, here it is, same setting. Yep. Save. Okay, let's go to day 2B. So this column chart, yep, let's select personalize. Now I can select the type of the visual. I don't know, let's make it pie chart. Yep, or donut chart. I don't have to even keep the same fields. I can choose a different field like chiller. No, not good. I don't know, cell count. Yeah, this works. Good. And yeah, how is this useful? That's useful for end users who prefer certain visuals, and they can save bookmarks. Where is that? Oh, here. They can save personal bookmarks. Let's call this donut chart. Okay. Now I can reset everything, and still I have my personal bookmark with donut chart. Here it is. That can be useful for some users. Now I mentioned it's a bit more complex, and that's because see, when you personalize visuals, you see like the whole field set. Now in this case, that's maybe okay. Maybe you have some fields or objects that you don't want your users to see. In this case, what you could do, you could create a perspective. A perspective, though, is I don't actually think that's tested in the exam, but just so you know, it's something to do in the model. Let's go to Power BI Desktop. You cannot do it by using Power BI Desktop alone. Yes, because of this. I don't think this is tested in the exam. Just so you know, you need, say, tabular editor or something similar. Then here you can create a perspective, say new perspective. Say live course, let's just call it live course, yep. And here you need to select objects you want to be visible here. So let's show in perspective, live course, and also say date, live course. Let's save, okay. There is a bit of a bug in Power BI Desktop. So when you format your page, this is something I mentioned before. Because we enabled visual personalization, we see this new area here in the format page pane. Here we can select which perspective we're using. And we've got default fields and model, and we don't see this perspective we've created. For that, we need to close and open, but it's there. It's just that it's not visible. So let's save, close, and let's reopen. Okay, let's go to formatting. This interesting. There was a button called try it. I wonder what it would do, because I don't think it does anything. Okay, now we've got this perspective, live course. And yeah, by the way, you can apply to all pages or choose which perspective is per page. Okay, let's save and let's publish. We already have this report, so let's replace. Okay, got it. Let's go back to the Power BI service. And here we are, this report. Let's just refresh the page. Notice that the personal bookmark survived. Even though we republished the report, it's still there. It's nice. Now let's personalize this visual. And now it says, you are viewing a subset of your data called live course. Let's see what's included here. So we've got sale and date. So just the two tables we included in our perspective. So in case you want, only a subset of fields, then you use a perspective. Okay, next item, design and configure Power BI reports for accessibility. This is done in the View tab in selection. I mean, one thing is done. That's the tab order. So the tab order is not the same as the layer order. The tab order matters when users use screen readers. See, when I press tab, see, I go to visuals in some random order, it seems. I can change that by changing the tab order. What I can also do is I can skip some objects from tab order, and this makes sense for things like shapes, things that should not be selectable. Maybe text box is not a good idea because it contains text, so maybe yeah, people will want to read this. But yeah, at least I'm not sure why shape. Probably because I'm in Power BI Desktop. Yeah, in general though, this does work. It's being skipped from tab order. The other thing for accessibility is that you can add alt text for a visual, let's say. General properties. No, it's not here. Alt text, here it is. Yeah, and you can use conditional formatting for this even. So yeah, it will be read by a screen reader when you select this visual. The other thing for accessibility is some accessible colors. See, there are some accessible themes built in. And I think it's more or less it for accessibility. Okay, last item in this section is configure automatic page refresh. So that's relevant for direct query or direct query models. Actually, live connection as well, probably. We don't see it here, but there could be a setting with automatic page refresh. I believe, yes, I'm pretty sure that requires a fabric capacity or premium if you still have it. What this does is, let's say you've got a direct query report, which we discussed yesterday. If you've got new data coming in all the time, then your report, unless somebody opens it, may show outdated data. So you could configure your report pages to refresh every, say, 1 minute or 15 seconds or whatever your admin allows. And yeah, I don't think I can show it here just because, see, I don't have direct query. Oh, actually, I could, let me add a table from direct query, recent sources, SQL Express. Yeah, I'll just add a table in direct query mode so that I can demo this setting. Load, direct query, okay. Potential security risk, yeah, that's because now we've got a direct query mode and imported data together. Okay, here, this wasn't there before. This is exactly what I was talking about, page refresh. And yeah, you can auto page refresh at time intervals, or you can do change detection. For that, you need to specify how you want to check for changes. This can be used when you have some column, like, I don't know, date added or ETL date updated or something like that. It can be then queried by Power BI. In case there is a change, then the page will refresh. So this will be more efficient than just doing auto page refreshes. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this section. Okay, there's one last section left. Let's just take a 7-minute break because, yeah, it's been almost 2 hours now. I'll do a 7-minute break and then we'll come back. All right, welcome back. I'll reshare my screen. Okay, so that's the third part in this segment. Identify patterns and trends. And the first item is to use the Analyze feature in Power BI. What this refers to is, let me demo. Just looking for my line chart. Oh, actually this will do. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure if I right click, no, it doesn't have that. No, I was looking for something that's like explain the difference or something. Why is that? I wonder. Or is it because I need a date field? Let me check. Why cannot I see this? Okay, I think I can have that with the waterfall chart. Let me just copy this. And I'll turn it into a waterfall. What is that? Maybe instead of this, I'll have... Okay, this is a bit odd. See, I removed years and yet I still see them. Okay. Maybe. No, still not. Maybe it has to be a line chart actually. Okay, let's do a line chart by year. Now, I'm having a bit of trouble. Is it because it's the measure that is cell count? Now let me do it from scratch. Like it is supposed to work. Let's do cell count and here. Let's up. What am I missing? What I wanted to show was that sometimes you get like explain the change. That's the analyze part. Why is it not here? Maybe I should have checked before. Okay, maybe let me come back to this. Oh, maybe it's, wait, maybe it's because I've got calculation groups. Could it be? Okay, let me save this as another report. I'll get rid of this calculation group. Okay, and I will allow implicit measures again. Okay, save. Okay, maybe let me reopen. It's just a bit odd. Okay, maybe I'll come back to it. For now, I'll talk about this next item, use grouping, binning, and clustering. I'm not sure how often this is actually used. Let me try. I'll do maybe stock items. And I'll do sale count and quantity. Yep, like this. Now let's do automatically find clusters for stock items. And yeah, it's not bad actually. We've got 4 clusters. So that's static though. Like you've got to understand that this became a column. You cannot see the formula behind it unless you use TMDL. Let me show you that. Yeah, see the formula. Oh, cluster mapping table. Wow, there's a hidden table that I just cannot see. That's very interesting. Cluster mapping table. It's a hidden table. Oh, that's pretty cool. I used to think that, yeah, I think a few years ago there was a very different formula here with like yes, some hidden DAX functions. However, still there wasn't a hidden DAX table. Okay, interesting. All right, so that's clustering. What about grouping and binning? You can do manual grouping or binning. Just right-click a column and select new group. And okay, maybe this is not the best example because there are so many items here, but let's say colors, new group. Let's say you can select this and hold the control key, this, and this, and group. And you can call it something like cold colors, so stuff like that. And bin the rest. Like, I don't know, 4 colors. So that's 4 categorical fields. And these are called groups. You can also bin items, some numeric fields, for example, like profit, new group. See, you could do it the same way as categorical. However, for numerical, you can do bins, and you can specify either size of bins or number of bins. Doesn't matter. Let's do 10 bins. Select OK. And let's go to, actually, let's just create a matrix with this. And here, yeah, this way. So this bin includes such and such values, probably all the negative ones. Ah, no. Up to, wait, where does it end? Oh, up to, okay, this. Yeah, so there was the other option. Let's just add groups. Instead of number of bins, maybe size of bins could be 100. Okay, so this changes this to binning by 100. And this time, you see the number of items per bin can be different. Previously, it was just evenly divided. Now it's different. Yeah, so that's grouping, binning, and clustering. Next, use AI visuals. So narrative is one example of an AI visual. The other is not goals. Where is it? Oh, key influencers. Yes. Key influencers can be sometimes nice when you want your users to drill down in not a predefined way, but well, still you need to add some fields such as, I don't know, analyze, let's say size. Oh, no, this is supposed to be the measure, such as quantity, and explained by, that can be, say, brand or color or, I don't know, brand package. And you can expand by to add more rows, because by default this is going to be grouped by these three columns: brand, color, brand, package. You can add like more dimensions, I guess, to expand by. So this will not be considered as influencers. However, this will give more data to work with. So let's add stock item. See, now it worked. So when brand is NA, the average of total quantity increases by such and such amount. So that's, yeah, that's interesting, kind of. Top segments. Yeah, see, this is synthetic data, so not very interesting. If you try it with your data, you may like it more. And so actually I misspoke. So key influencers is not for drilling down. What I was talking about was decomposition tree. Let me copy this to a different page and turn this into a decomposition tree. Yeah, now you've got this measure, analyze, total quantity, and you can explain it by things. And here you can select either one of the fields, or you can choose high value, low value. This will let Power BI select that field, which will give you the breakdown with, say, highest value or lowest value. So let's do high value. Yeah, I kind of thought it would be this. Again, we can do it, say, high value again. Let's find package, or low value. Yeah, that's my stock item now. So you see, the user at least has some control over which level is next. Whereas with the usual drill down, it's whichever field is in the field well. Okay, next, use reference lines, error bars, and forecasting. So what is a reference line? Let's find a line chart. Yep, here. We can add the reference line that's done here. We can add a trend line, or we can add some other things like constant line. It could be measure based, by the way, but let's say 60,000. Oh, that's an x-axis. No, that's not what I want. I wanted y-axis. Yep. The x-axis is, let's do 2019. Yeah, it can be useful to draw attention to something with, say, data label. Where is it? Style name. And the name can be changed by double clicking. So let's call it pre-COVID, something like this. There are other kinds of reference lines like mean, max, average, and so on. You also have error bars. Error bars, I think originally they were meant to be used for like predictions. Like if you have, say, pre-calculated forecast with confidence intervals, then you could use your confidence intervals for error bars. That would give the user some visual indication of how confident the forecast is. Although, yeah, it can be used for different purposes as well. Yeah, let's enable this. Yeah, this is 10%. I don't have pre-calculated data, so I'll just use by field percentage. Could be 5. Yeah, that's okay. All right, and okay, let me disable this and instead add a forecast. So I can forecast for the next, I don't know, 3 years, and I can ignore some number of periods in case, let's say, you're working with an incomplete year. So I can ignore last year. Although, oh, apply. Yep. Now you see the forecast is very different because, yeah, last year, I don't think it's a complete year, so it makes no sense of taking it into account. So that's forecasting. Okay, next, how do you detect anomalies? I think for that you need to get rid of the trend line. No? All right, date time value or valid date hierarchy. Okay, let's use that. Okay, now I can use, now I can select this anomaly. Is everything an anomaly? Let's do 50%. No. Okay, maybe whatever is outside of this interval. Okay, so I guess, yeah, this year wasn't, actually now everything is an anomaly. This is where you configured outliers are displayed as these kind of dots in this way. So you just specify sensitivity, and yeah, you can change the formatting, like shape and all that. You can get rid of expected range if you don't want it. Okay, and next new item from last month, use Copilot to summarize the underlying semantic model. I think this is probably done in the Power BI service. Let me just quickly check. Ah, okay, I thought about something different first, actually. What I thought about was when, say, a consultant gets a semantic model, then what you could do is you could ask Copilot, if you're using the PBIP format, you could ask it to list like the main measures and relationships and tables and all that. So this will give you some idea about the semantic model. This, I guess, does something similar in text form, although you could use Copilot to also just ask questions. Let's try. How many years, in how many years did we have sales? Okay, that's nice. This is correct. I could also ask something else, like sales for specific stock item or color or whatever. So, yeah. The thing is, you can interact with your model in this way. Okay, and I think that's the last question about Copilot, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I just want to turn off my capacity to stop billing. Okay, I'll just need to come back to the Analyze feature in Power BI. For now, let's do the knowledge check. You have a report with a column chart and a bar chart. Your report uses default interaction settings. You need to edit interactions in such a way that when you select an item from the column chart, the bar chart only shows the relevant data. You select Edit Interactions. What do you need to do next? So you can select either bar chart or column chart, and then set either column chart or bar chart interaction to either none or filter. So I'll give it a few more seconds. I'm just waiting for at least someone to respond. Okay, let's see, did it work? Let me see. Okay, not sure why it didn't work. It was supposed to be the last option. So if you select an item from the column chart, the bar chart only shows the relevant data, means that you first select the column chart, then for the bar chart, you set the interaction to a filter. Okay, next question. You have a column chart that shows sales amount by product category. You need to see quantity sold when you hover over a column. Your solution must minimize manual effort. What should you do? Add quantity sold as secondary series, as tooltip, create a report page tooltip, or add quantity sold to a new column chart. Okay, didn't work again, but you're supposed to add quantity sold to the tooltips field well, because that's the least effort. Creating a report page tooltip is a bit more involved. Adding quantity sold is not what's needed, because it will not only show when you hover over a column, but when you don't hover. And if you add quantity sold to a new column chart, then this will not show quantity when you hover over that old column. Okay, last question here. You have a report with 5 pages. You need to place a filter on all pages except for one. The filters should carry over between the 4 pages with the filter. Your solution must minimize the effort. What should you do? create a calculation group, use a report level filter, or use page level filter, or configure sync slicers. Okay, you're supposed to configure sync slicers because the page level filter doesn't sync between different pages. A report level filter will affect all pages, and the calculation group isn't really applicable here because you cannot do it for some pages and not others by default. Okay, let's go next. So this is the last part of the exam, Manage and Secure Power BI. It has two items, create and manage workspaces and assets, and secure and govern Power BI items. Okay, so first, create and configure a workspace. Okay, this is something that you can do only if you have at least a Pro license. Let me try here. Okay, just go to workspaces and then select new workspace. Here you will just need to name it somehow, and at minimum ensure that the license mode is correct. I've got a trial fabric capacity. I could use it. I've turned off my fabric capacity, so I cannot select it. Otherwise, I could also select premium per user. I think I have it, at least a trial or something. Yeah, anyway, license mode is important because if you select, let's say, premium per user, then it will only be available to other users who have premium per user. For the roles in a workspace, and I think that's done after you create the workspace. Yeah, let me just go to the workspace settings. Oh, no, I think actually it's not here, is it? It's in manage access. Yeah, you can add other people here, and it's best practice to add security groups because then group membership can be monitored outside of Power BI. From the security point of view, that's preferable anyway, as far as I'm aware. Yeah. And then once you have a workspace and you configured it as you want, you can also configure and update a workspace app. So what is that? An app is a collection of items from a workspace viewable by users. It's not things like data sets or data flows. It's reports, potentially dashboards. Actually, I already have an app. Let me unpublish app first. Yeah, so by default, in an empty workspace, you'll need to create an app. Okay. Then after you create it, you add content. So you explicitly need to select which content appears in the app. You add that. And then you can add multiple audiences if you want. By default, there is one audience. And you can hide certain things from some audiences if you wish. And again, you grant access to the app by specifying users or groups, and groups are preferable from the security point of view. And then you publish. Okay, next. Publish, import, or update items in a workspace. So we have already published from Power BI Desktop. So you just select publish and select the workspace. Import refers to important items from the workspace itself. So you could select, sorry, no, not this, import, and then report from this computer. And then you select the PBX file. Or you could import in a PageNet report, that's possible. Okay, next, You could update some items in a workspace, like you could edit reports, but that's not recommended. It's best to edit reports not via the Power BI service, but let's say via Power BI desktop for the purposes of this exam. Because see, sometimes if you create some report in Power BI service, you may not be able to download it. So that's a problem because then you cannot back it up. Okay, next, create dashboards. So you can create a new item and then dashboard, give it a name, dashboards, for example, create. And here you will need to pin some visuals. Yeah, right now there's nothing. You could, where is it? Edit first, add a tile. And you can add some content outside of a report actually, such as some web content, image, text, so on. Or you can go to report and then select pin. Let's say this item, pin. It's a bit odd. It's not doing anything. Okay, let's try this. No, still. I'm clicking pin visual and it's not doing anything. That's just weird. Okay, let's try another page. Why is it an error? Unexpected error. Okay, what if I refresh? All right, I forgot. It's because this workspace was in a fabric capacity and I turned it off. Okay, let's move this to a trial capacity. Oh, license it. Yep. Edit. And let's move it to trial. Select license. All right. Now I'm sure it's gonna work. Yeah. Okay, let's pin this to live course and pin. Go to dashboard. So now I have my pinned visual. Notice that it's not really interactive. If I click it, I'll just go to that report where I pinned it from. Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's pretty much it about dashboards. Choose a distribution method. I think this refers to things like whether you want your users to access reports via an app that we've discussed briefly, or you could do subscriptions, or you could send reports, well, I mean, share reports via, say, OneDrive and let users open reports there. In most cases, okay, I shouldn't say that. Now, sometimes you may want to choose an app because an app can contain multiple reports and it gives users everything grouped together, like whatever you want to distribute together, it's grouped together, so that's nice. However, users need to actually go to the Power BI service or at least an app, like say from Teams or whatever, and open that app to view their items. In some cases, that's not preferable. Maybe there are some busy executives who cannot be bothered to go to the Power BI service. In that case, you can configure subscriptions for them. You can configure them for other users, so not just for yourself. It's possible. So let's look at that. Let's go to this report. And let's do, where is it? I think it's here. Yeah, so this icon, that was subscriptions. Create a subscription. Yeah, I could do standard or dynamic per recipient. It's standard. Yeah, I can give it some name. I can choose to attach full report. For this, I need a fabric capacity, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, you can select how often it's sent and whether it's summarized, although for this you need a fabric capacity, I mean a paid capacity. And then, yeah, you get emails with screenshots. Okay, next, promote or certify Power BI content. Okay, this refers to labels for different items, such as reports. First, for that, you go to settings, and here's the endorsement. By default, it's none, could be promoted or certified, and it's just different levels of endorsement, I guess. Yeah, promoted is you want your coworkers to use something, whereas certified shows that it's been reviewed and it meets some criteria. Not everybody can certify content. I mean, your admins can restrict who is able to do that. Like, people can usually promote some items and not certify. Certify can be limited to those people that admins choose. That means it has like a higher level of trust. This content is very trustworthy. That's pretty much it. And this can be applied not just to reports, but also other items, even to data flows and semantic models and all that. Where is that? Endorsement. Yep. Again, this is promoted or certified. Interesting. There's also this master data. That's, yeah, pretty good. Another option. I don't think this is tested in the example. I mean, master data. Okay, next, identify when a gateway is required. That's relatively simple. So if your data is located in the cloud, publicly accessible cloud, then usually you don't need a gateway. If it's some local data or it's in some cloud that is behind a VNet, virtual network, then you need a gateway. When would you need a gateway for accessing public data? That's when you need to access certain sources from some gateway machine, even if it's publicly accessible. That's not that often though. Okay, and next, configure a semantic model scheduled refresh. So that's only possible if your sources are accessible to the Power BI service first, meaning either they're publicly accessible cloud or you have configured the gateway. I think my data is coming from local files, so I think I cannot yet set up a refresh. Yeah, that's right. That's because I'm supposed to use the gateway and it's not here. Actually, maybe for some other report, maybe I should have that. Let me check already, make sure it works. Let me check. Okay, so this, I think, works. Therefore, yes, I can configure refresh schedule. So again, you need to make sure that your data sources are accessible. Then you can configure refresh. If you're using a pro license, then you can configure refresh only up to 8 times a day. With a premium per user or fabric capacity, the user interface allows you to configure the refresh up to 48 times a day. just every half hour, but that's simply because of the user interface limitation. If you're using other means, such as Power Automate to trigger the refresh, then you can do it more often, as often as your model would allow. I mean, your refreshes just need to finish before the next refresh. That's it. Yeah, you would add some time like 1 a.m. and then apply. And that's it. I'm not gonna do that here. Okay, next item, actually next part, it's secure and govern Power BI items. Assign workspace roles. Okay, so this is something I very briefly discussed before. If I go to workspace and manage access here, I can add people or groups to roles. So I've already said that security groups are preferable to individual users. And then you have 4 roles. Viewers can only view content, and it's the only role of a workspace to which role level security applies. Actually, we'll discuss role level security just a bit later. If you're a contributor or above, then you can edit content, and role level security, or say object level security, will not apply to you. The contributors can edit content, and if admins of the workspace set it up, then potentially contributors can also update the app. They cannot invite others though. I mean, they cannot add other people to the workspace. Members can do the same thing as contributors, plus they can also share the workspace, I mean, add other people to the workspace. And admins can do everything that members can, plus they can do other things like change the workspace name or reassign the workspace to some different capacity and stuff like that. Something to note is that workspace viewers are not the same as app viewers or app readers. The difference between them is that app readers can only see those items that have been included in the app, in the perspectives that they're in, whereas workspace viewers can view all the reports in the workspace, plus they can read data from workspace data flows. App viewers cannot read data from data flows unless they're also workspace viewers, but workspace viewers can do that. It's something to keep in mind, because sometimes you want to give people the ability to read data from data flows without modifying it. For that, you need to make people workspace viewers. And in case you don't want them to see all the reports in a workspace, then it's a good idea to create a separate workspace just for data flows. Okay, I think that's it for workspace roles. Okay, next, configure item level access. So you can share specific items with people, like reports can be shared individually. Share, and then you specify email and other things. You can also give people access to, say, semantic models, more options than security. I think it's manage permissions. Yep. Here you can give users direct access. And there are a few settings you can change, like whether they can modify this semantic model, even if they're not workspace members, or allow people to reshare the semantic model, and whether you want people to build content with data from this semantic model. Yeah, depends on your goals when shared. So anyway, each item can be shared by itself. Okay, next, configure access to semantic models. Actually, this is something I've just discussed. This is how you grant access, and there are a few things you can change along the way, because by default, everything is selected. All right, next, implement role-level security roles. Okay, for that, you need to go to Power BI Desktop and create a role first. So at the moment, we don't have any roles. You need to select a role, so manage roles. Wait, I am still very much interested in how come I cannot use the analyze feature. Maybe it's because of direct query. Let me check. It was. Wow, okay, finally I can see. So that's because I had direct query in my model. Okay, that was an item I was supposed to show you for the previous part. Okay, now I can see analyze, explain the increase. Why there was an increase between 2018 and 2019. And there are several visuals that attempt to explain this. If I find something useful, then I can add this to the report, add to page, and here it is. See, there is a hard-coded filter for years. Maybe in some ways it can be useful. All right, back to the last part of the course. Next item was implement role-level security roles. Yes, so you create a role here, manage roles, select new, and you could change it to show only, say, blue color sales. So stock item, new, color equals blue. You select save and close. Let's test this. I'll just create another chart with colors so we can easily see that something's been filtered. Okay, now we see all the colors. Now let's view as and blue. Okay, now we only see blue. Now the important thing with role-level security, which is applied to workspace viewers and app viewers, is that in case you are using role-level security and you want some people to be able to see everything, then you need to have a role that shows everything. And for that, you just create a role that is called something like all, doesn't matter. I mean, the actual name doesn't matter. What matters is that there are no filters. Select save and select close. Then you can publish this, publish and save. It's publishing. And got it. Now, when we go to the Power BI service, because I'm a contributor, or actually I think I'm an admin, I will be able to see everything. However, I can test security and assign people to roles, more options, and then security. Here are my two roles. I can assign people to these roles. Again, I can use security groups, which is best practice. And I can test the role by selecting test as role next to role. I can also change it here to all, so I can see everything. Some people can be members of more than one role. Select apply. See, when people are members of more than one role, then sometimes role-level security works not in the way that you may expect. So for example, let's say I've got blue color sales, okay? And let's say I also have brand, And maybe I want to have a role just for Northwind. Let's create a role. Northwind. All right. Stock item, new, if brand equals Northwind. Select save and close. Let's test this role. Let's just focus on this. Let's view as Northwind. Yes, that's as expected. We only see Northwind. If I select view as and select blue, and in case you haven't attended my advanced Microsoft Power BI course from last month, what do you expect to see? Just think for a few seconds. Okay, let's see. And you see all colors of Northwind plus all brands of the blue color, which may not be what you expected, yet that's how it is. If you want just the blue Northwind sales, then you need to create a new role. Let's just duplicate this, Northwind blue, and we'll need to add filter, save, and close. Now let's view as Northwind blue. So now it's just this value. Maybe that's what you expected. If that's the case, then yes, you need more roles that combine filters. Okay, last item, apply sensitivity labels. So sensitivity labels should be something that your admin creates for you, and then you apply them. Probably have that somewhere. This report day 2C, you do it in settings. It could be applied to all items, I think, not just reports. I'll use the reports as an example. Setting and sensitivity label. And I've got a couple, confidential and top secret. The actual meanings are set by your admins. One of my clients gives like 5. Each means something like public or internal or stuff like that. And then, you just apply. And then you can apply this label to the semantic model so that it's not just the report, but also the semantic model it's built on. Or you can do it just for the report. Okay, and I think that's it. Let's do a knowledge check. Your semantic model connects to on-premises SQL Server database. You need to configure the semantic model to refresh data. Which 2 components do you need to include in your solution? Each correct answer presents part of the solution. And the options are on-premises data gateway, aggregate tables, incremental refresh, or refresh schedule. Give it a few seconds just in case somebody wants to answer. Okay, the actual correct answers were on-premises data gateway and refresh schedule. You need an on-premises data gateway because you've got an on-premises SQL Server database. Without the gateway, the Power BI service will not be able to access that data. And to refresh data, you need a refresh schedule. That's it. Okay, next, you have a workspace that contains several reports, semantic models, and data flows. You need to share a report with users from Group A who need not see the data flows. Your solution must minimize manual effort and optimize the user experience. What should you do? The 4 options are: share each report with Group A, add Group A to the workspace as viewers, create an app and share it with Group A, or share reports with Group A from OneDrive. And the right answer is to create an app and share it with Group A, because then users will see several reports in one place and they will not have access to data flows. Whereas if you share each report with group A, then they will need to access each report separately. If you add group A to the workspace as viewers, then they will be able to read data flows, which is not what you want in this question. And if you share reports with group A from OneDrive, that's kind of like sharing each report separately. Not as good experience as compared to using an app. Okay, last question. Your semantic model connects to a data source that has its data updated every 15 minutes. Your company only uses Power BI Pro licenses. You need to keep the semantic model as up to date as possible without changing the license configuration of the workspace. The solution must minimize manual effort. What should you do? The options are configure schedule refresh every 15 minutes, configure schedule refresh every hour, configure schedule refresh 8 times a day, or refresh the model manually every 15 minutes. The correct answer is configure schedule refresh 8 times a day, because according to the question, you have pro licenses, so that's the most you can do, 8 times a day. You cannot do it every hour because that would be more than 8 times a day. And similarly, you cannot do it every 15 minutes. If you refresh the model manually every 15 minutes, it's going to be quite a bit of effort. And according to the question, the solution must minimize manual effort. So that's it. All right. Final tips for the exam. So first of all, you should take practice exam. It's available on the certification page on Microsoft Learn. It's free. After you take the practice assessment, you will know which topics you're less experienced with. So you should practice them. And again, when you take the exam, you should prepare your workspace beforehand. Otherwise, you'll just spend time on it. Like the proctor will ask you to remove this item, that item, until they are satisfied. And yeah, that's it. If you follow this course, I'm sure you'll pass. It's not that difficult. So good luck. And if you have any questions, please post them now, or we can wrap up. If you're viewing this, thanks for attending. You're probably going to get a course feedback survey. Yeah, please let me know how I can improve this course for next time, apart from keeping it up to date. Or if there's something I did that you liked, yeah, please also let me know. The feedback will be appreciated by me personally. And yeah, thanks again for attending. Andrew, when ready, can we please wrap up? There are no questions in Q&A.
Okay, it seems we're wrapping up early today, so just a reminder, once again, that there will be a recording. That recording should post in about 24 to 48 hours. You should get an email notification when it does post, but the recording itself is going to be through your online learning account, so if you need a refresher on any portion of today's presentation, you can always find it there. Also, if you haven't already, we do have the course feedback survey. If you can access that through the toolbar at the top of your screen. Any feedback at all you might have, we appreciate it. It just helps us improve these sessions over time. With that, thanks again for joining. You can log off whenever you're ready. And we hope to see everybody back for another course soon. Have a nice day.